Hey guys, Mike here, Mike's Computer Tips. I'm back home, doing a lot of running around this morning, trying to get some work done, and tomorrow's trash day, so I had to put out the trash and carry everything out front. Now I'm just enjoying a tea, relaxing a little, watching some YouTube video. And my wife's doing the cooking. I helped her prepare some stuff in the kitchen. And she's going to cook some pasta with meat sauce. So that should be good for later on. It's another hot day here in Florida. As always. Hot. Humid out. But I'm going to, I know I'm doing a lot of these videos on my phone and they come out pretty good. I'm going to hook up my webcam again, and I think I'm going to start doing them on OBS. That way I can do some editing and live streaming and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to try to do that again. I used to like doing that, and then I got occupied with other stuff and I stopped doing it. But since I'm doing the videos, I'm thinking maybe I should do it like that, do that. If you hear the noise in the background, that is the fan. I'll move the camera over there, maybe it won't be so bad. But you got the camera on and the fan is on, so when both of them guys are on, sounds like I'm in a vacuum cleaner or something. So I'm trying to keep it away from the whole workings. Maybe I could straighten out this camera a little. That would make more sense. But yeah, I mean, what can we talk about? It's really nice out and sunny as usual. And today's Thursday. This month is really moving along. We're already like halfway through it. Just the other day it seemed like it was July. We're coming to the end of the summer, which will be in a couple weeks. So it'll still be hot, but it'll probably cool off in September. And I was working on some tools for laptops. I have this really cheap set, but this set is good for, it's like a $5 set you can buy online. It's got all the, screwdriver, like special screwdriver tips for like every Apple computer, mostly my laptop. Just dropped one. So, I mean, Apple uses a lot of special tips, so I have them all here if I need one. But some regular computers use these special tips too, notice the 5-star. The 5-star is, see, and I have this other one too. It's a really cheap set, but it's made from Pittsburgh. And I can put the little guy in there and I can use that as a screwdriver if I need to. And I have all these fancier tips, star and bigger star, all different sizes, like all kinds of stuff. So I'm keeping that here now just in case I need it, because I couldn't find that handle for a while, so I was trying to rig it, so I could use it with something that would still use it, but now I found that kit, so I can use that. Excuse me. If I need it. some of my videos are longer, getting longer. I know they're getting into like the 24, 25-minute range. Some of them are almost 30 minutes. I'm trying to do longer videos because if you notice on my channel, most of my videos are short, and now I'm starting to do the longer ones because everybody keeps saying you have to do 20-minute, 30-minute videos. So I'm doing that now. We're already like 5.5, almost 6 minutes into this one, so you know it goes pretty fast. If you're interested in what I do in my daily life, these videos are going to be good for you. I have another box here, just a little plastic box. If I work on a computer, I usually put screws in here. And I have a couple of different flashlights, which are kind of cool. I bought this one, it's only like a couple bucks. If you're stuck on the side of the road, the red is really good. And then if you really need a regular light, then you have the white. And then the flashing, if you're like broken down or something, that's good to have. Then I have my trusty magnifying glass light. I call this my $9 light. That's what it costs online if you buy it. And this thing is a lifesaver. When you get older, you can't see as good, so I can see everything with this one. I just put the light on, put it up close, and you can read the numbers off a computer or anything. And I also have my little trusty light that I've had for so long. I don't know, it's like $1 light. And I use this too sometimes if I need it. And then I have this super duper one that I bought. And it's like so bright. I just started using it. So I have like 4 different lights, and then I have this lamp over here. Just a regular lamp. See it? And then if I need extra light, I'll put this lamp on. You know, I think I got that at a garage sale a couple of years ago for like $1. But see, it's really bright. So it works. That's all that matters, right? Does its job. So yeah, those are my flashlights, and I have a box here that I have hard drives in. Some of them aren't good, but these are M.2 hard drives. They're real fast kind. They're called M.2, and they're like the fastest hard drives you can buy, and they come in all sizes. Just like the bigger hard drives do, or the 2.5s. I have a lot of these M.2s. Some of them work, some of them don't. I test them as I go along, and I keep my regular SSD hard drives in here. I have one 20 gig SSD, I have 240, and I think I have an older 500. My friend owes me a 500, so when he gets his hard drives in, he's going to give me a 500 because I'll let him borrow one. 480, 500, it's kind of all the same. But my friend has a computer shop, and sometimes he'll run out of stuff and he'll ask me because he knows I have parts and stuff, so if I have it, I'll let him borrow it till he gets his, and then he always returns it. So I got all my screwdrivers here. Keep them right here underneath my desk. And I even have all these USBs. You never know when you need them. It's kind of funny. I have a whole box of these USBs. Some are Windows 10, some are Windows 11. And a lot of them are just programs and utilities that I put on them. So if I ever need, like, I usually use my external drive for installing programs, this one here. But if I ever want, I could use these little ones too. I have a ton of these little ones. This one has Seat Cleaner and AVG on it, and this one has Open Office, Windows 10, Windows 10. And I even have some Wi-Fi ones. This goes to Wi-Fi, Cisco Wi-Fi. This is a regular Wi-Fi one. I have a disk that goes with it. And we got a couple Wi-Fi cards too if I need them. I'll show you them. These are really cheap online. You can buy these for a couple bucks. These are USB Wi-Fi. And they come with a disc. And they're good to have, you know, in case somebody's Wi-Fi is bad and you never know. I've been saving a lot of these Wi-Fi cards. Like if a laptop is bad, and I usually take the memory out. Whatever I can use, I strip it. I'll take the RAM, I'll take the hard drive if there is one. Most of the time there isn't a hard drive. And then I'll take the Wi-Fi card, because usually Wi-Fi cards don't get bad. And there's like 5 or 6 different types of Wi-Fi cards, so you never know if you ever might need one. So I've been saving up Wi-Fi cards. And I have my trusty magnet. These things are great. You can buy these like, and you can probably at the dollar store. I forgot where I got this one, but if you drop any screws, you know, you can always run it on the floor and it'll find your screws. The only downfall to this is I always keep it near my metal stuff, and it grabs onto like nose trimmers, USBs, and grabs onto everything. Got my little pad here for if anybody calls me, I need to write information down. If I have to go to someone's house, write their name, address, phone number. I keep everything like in front of me. And what else have I got? Oh yeah, and all the different kinds of memory. Never have enough memory. Desktop, laptop. You acquire memory over the years saving. You just save it, and somehow or another memory just like pops up. And I have my thermal grease, and this is for CPUs. You clean the CPU, and then you put a nice thin coat of thermal grease on. That way it keeps your processor cool. And then you put your fan on top of that, and that gives you a nice, you know, like a nice thin layer of heat between your fan and your processor, heat sink in your processor. So it tries to keep your processor cooler. So you always got to have a nice layer of thermal grease on it. Sometimes if your computer's running your fans are running fast, or your computer's getting hot, a lot of times it'll be because you don't have enough thermal grease on it, or it's worn out. So what you do is you take your CPU fan off, you clean whatever's on there, and then you put a nice layer of thermal grease on there. You clean the other side where it's on the heat sink, and then let that dry a little, then put it back on. And if your fans are good and it's just an overheating issue, then that'll take care of it. If you have a bad fan, it's a different story. Then you have to change the fan. Laptop fans, yeah, you usually have to order them because they're all different. But if it's a desktop, and, you know, I always save a lot of different fans. I have a whole drawer of fans, anywhere from big fans, desktops. You come in handy. heat sinks with CPU fans. See, that's what I mean. On the bottom, you make sure you clean it before you put it on the computer. It sits on the motherboard, and that's a CPU fan. I have a bunch of those. You never know when you're going to need this stuff. Anything computer related, I usually have some parts laying around. I try to keep up with them. I don't always use them, but you just never know when you're going to need something. Like if somebody gives me a broken computer and it can't be fixed, I'll usually take the memory and whatever good parts. If it has a good screen, I have a couple screens here that I have in case somebody ever needs one. I have 2 laptop screens. They're over here. Try to keep them safe. And I have a couple bags over in the corner there, which is really for a laptop bag. If somebody needs a laptop bag. I got a couple of them. You seem like you acquire them sometimes. I don't really keep a laptop for my personal use, but sometimes people give me a bag or with a laptop, and laptop's no good, and they may not want the bag back. So yeah, I have a couple of them. And for desktops, I always keep a lot of zip ties. You never know when you're going to need a zip tie. These are really cheap. You can go to any hardware store or the dollar store. I got all mine at the dollar store. They're good for desktops, like if you have to do cable management, they're good to tie up cables securely and then cut the end off. That's something that, if you work on desktops long enough, you'll know that zip ties come in really handy to organize cables. Nowadays, everybody has a laptop, but or a gaming system. Gaming systems, good to have the zip ties to do cable management. Because when you take the back off, the side off a gaming system, there's a lot of wires, and sometimes they're really neatly set up, like they're supposed to, but sometimes they're like spaghetti. It's all over the place, so you have to try to make sense of it and tie the things together and make sure the case closes and all the wires are nice. That's kind of like your wires in your house. You don't want everything just. A lot of times people will have it's like spaghetti. Everything is just so intertwined with each other. It's hard to figure out what's what. So that's always good to have. And another thing is outlet plugs, You don't want to have one plug with so many different things plugged into it, unless you have, something big, something that, is not only, in other words, you don't want to have a little small strip with everything plugged in and then plugged into that. That can cause a fire, so you have to be careful about them things. Try to get something with UL approved, something better, which is, maybe if you get a bad storm, it'll shut down. Some of them have inside of them, some of them have like fuses, and they'll shut off. If the power goes out, it won't damage your equipment. That's always good to have. Who wants to damage their equipment? A lot of times when it's after a storm, people have got their computer plugged in, and sometimes they get, the computer won't start after the storm, or the power goes out, and the motherboard's not working. So a lot of times it has to be junked, to get it working again. So that does happen, especially down south in the southern states, because we got flash thunderstorms, and those are more common down here than you would get up north. But it happens up north too, it's just not as much as it would happen in like Florida or South Carolina or even like North Carolina, in places that get really hot, like Texas. That's another really hot state. So you gotta have enough plugs and don't load up one outlet. If you have 3 different wall outlets, put a few things in each one instead of having like everything in one. You don't want to mess up the brake, trip the breaker and all that stuff, So I try to do that. I have my internet and my computer plugged into one, and my printer in that one, and then I have a few different things plugged into my other one. Like if I'm going to test a computer, a couple of the outlets on the mount are open, so I can plug it in there temporarily. So it's good to have a couple different outlets, because you want to prevent a fire from happening. That's really important. I remember years ago somebody had a desktop computer, and it was like a home healthcare place, and I swear I never forget. This is up north. When I opened it up, there was just so much dust caked in there. I mean, they were replacing it, thank God. But I mean, if a fireman or whatever saw that, a public place where they have, people living, I think it was some kind of like senior center and people were living there. I mean, that is like a fire hazard if nothing else is. I mean, it could have started on fire. And that computer was on 24/7. So just imagine, you can almost not breathe. You're like holding your breath almost. That's what that computer was. It was just getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So if anybody was thinking about plugging in again, I made sure some of that dust was off of there, even though it was being replaced. That was like the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, every computer is going to get dust, but you got to keep an eye on that. You don't want it to get that bad. If there's smoking or your computer's in a dusty area, it's a desktop and it's like underneath or in a drawer or something, then you have to clean the fans every now and then. You want to get circulation. You don't want it to be in a place where it can overheat. Laptop is the same. You don't want it to be, you don't want to run it for hours and hours and hours. Give it a break. Have sleep mode on or whatever, hibernate mode. If you're not using it throughout the day, it'll cool down a little bit. Your hard drive will get slower. And then when you want to use it, you just hit the mouse and it'll come up again. Then it will do the full function. But you don't want to keep a computer on all day long, or work it really hard without doing your regular maintenance. And that includes, like I said, cleaning the fans, making sure your heat sink has enough thermal compound on it. You make sure your fans are working and you have enough fans, adequate fans, to keep it cool. Keep an eye on it if it's getting hot. If it's a desktop, you can feel the side of it. Just open it up, and if you feel a lot of heat coming out, then it's getting hot or too hot. So that's a good sign. You have to do software maintenance, and you'll have to do hardware maintenance, which includes cleaning the fans, dust or any kind of residue inside the case. You want to clean, shut the computer off, unplug it, clean all that stuff out, and plug it all back in when you're done. And your computer will thank you for better running and cooler performance, so that way it'll run better. A cooler computer is going to run better than a really hot one. Because the hot one, them parts are like almost overheating, and that's really bad. So if you're not sure which temperature your computer is supposed to read at, you could look it up and find out. So on that note, I'm going to